Well, we're super excited to be here. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and joining another Light the Torch ceremony on She Raises Studios. We have an amazing book coming out on June 18th, and it's called Dare to Dream Big. This one is truly going to be something special. And I have these amazing authors here today who wrote and co authored this book. We all did it together, and it's been a very interesting journey and experience because we're all, to some degree, they're solopreneurs, mompreneurs. Maybe we have a team, whatever the case may be. It's been an experience to really reflect back on what kind of a journey that we've had along the way from when we first started our entrepreneurial journey to where we are today. And some of us may have just started more recently too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I want to give everyone here the chance to introduce themselves. So tell us where you're from, your name, and what is your entrepreneurial journey? So, like, what are you currently doing in your business? So I'm going to go ahead and pass it down to Edwina, and then we'll kind of rotate from there.
Hey, Adriana, thank you so much for doing this for us. I'm super excited about the book. My name is Edwina Adams. I'm also known as Edwina the Encourager. This book is so encouraging and I can't wait for people to get to read it. I've been a military veteran, a retired paramedic. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I have been in business almost 2 decades, and my chapter is about becoming a noisemaker. Noise is my acronym for a narrative of inspiration, strength, and encouragement. So I truly hope this book is an encouragement to a lot of people.
Thank you. I know it will be. Everyone's going to have so much fun reading this book. Like I said, we dive into our stories. We really talk about our experiences and break down some of these, things that we sometimes consider myths within business. But they're things that we really go through. So I'm going to pass it over to Elizabeth.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I'm so excited. My name is Elizabeth. I live on the East Coast. I live in New Jersey. And my chapter is called Discovering Your Voice. I also have an acronym and it's called Voice. And my chapter is about discovering your voice. I've been in business as a coach for about 3 years now. And I've been through a lot of traumas and addictions. And it took me a long time finding personal development. And that's what my chapter is about. It's about bite-sized pieces about how when I found personal development, I was so excited about it. I wanted to share it with everybody. And then lo and behold, here I was a few years later, turning it into a business and trying to help everybody along the way. And when I created my business, I wanted to find a way to help other women create confidence and leave a lasting impact in the world. So I'm very excited to share that with people through this chapter.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And you're going to see everyone who's watching, and when you get your hands on this book, a common theme is that we all really want to help other entrepreneurs throughout their journey. So it's just a big blessing. Speaking of that, I'm going to pass over to Gemma, amazing speaker over here. Hi, Gemma. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I am so thrilled to be part of this amazing cohort, this coven of these inspiring women. I am from Southern California originally. There was a moment in time, I guess a 10-year moment in time, where I traveled around the world with no permanent address. And that was sort of the time in my life that I became an entrepreneur. I think being able to travel on your own with no money, and sort of trying to do big, giant, hairy, audacious things makes you really entrepreneurial, because the entrepreneurship part is not just about making money and succeeding in business. It's really just about how to navigate the world in a way where you can have an impact, and where you can find your place in it and know how you can contribute to the improvement of the world. So my journey is, I always consider how I got to be an entrepreneur as very accidental. I was originally a preschool teacher and a professional jazz singer in New York City. I was supposed to be in the World Trade Center when the planes hit. I talk about the story a little bit in my chapter. And as a result, I wrote a song called We Rise, and it's all about people coming together through tragedy and rising together. And it turned into a global peace movement where I left my life, my belongings, and everything that I knew to be my life behind, and started building this global peace movement. And So I went from being a global peace movement builder, and then all of a sudden I found myself doing water and sanitation work in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, bringing clean water to over 1 million people. Then I found myself teaching in higher education, and then stumbled on the coaching work. In fact, I think a lot of the stuff I ended up doing, I was doing and didn't realize I was doing it. So this global peace movement, person, I didn't realize I was doing that. When I started doing women in water work, I didn't realize I was doing international development and social entrepreneur work. When I started teaching, I didn't realize I was an educator. And then when people started inviting me to teach them and train them, all of a sudden I was a coach. So I really, the message from my chapter is really just, be open to the world. There are so many things that can come to you, and you'll find yourself doing things you never imagined. And so that your dream is not just one dream, it is a dream that keeps building on each other every single time you discover new things about you, yourself, and the world.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Darlene.
Wow, those are some hard lessons to follow right there. I'm impressed by everyone, and I can't even believe I'm in this project. I'm a Shark Tank fanatic, so I love these stories. My name's Darlene Oliver, and I love entrepreneurialism, and actually that's why I'm here. Is I spent years and years trying to be an entrepreneur, and it took me a long time to overcome those challenges and actually make it happen. And so my chapter is Beyond the Roller Coaster, because it's been a roller coaster ride, unveiling God's plan amidst life's challenges and joys. And they all had it right. It's a journey. It's not the destination. It's a journey, and it's all about what you go through to get there and how you change, you grow, and become a better entrepreneur. And that's what I want people to walk away from this with my chapter and everyone else's is it's possible. It's work. But if you put in the work, it's possible. And pursuing your dreams is something you have to do, because not pursuing them, they don't go away. They just pester you. That voice in the back of your head that tells you you're not good enough, that's where it comes from. You have to overcome that and pursue your dream, and believe in yourself. That's what you're here for. So everybody pursue that. Get to the destination, but enjoy the journey.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that piece. And I want to go back quickly. This book really is all about scaling, innovation, and finding success, and defining, I should say, success in entrepreneurship, because that looks different for every person. And I want to go back around one more time. I want us to say the names of our chapters and give us a sneak peek of something that you went through, maybe a breakthrough that you can share, or what was one of the hardest parts, whatever comes to you that you want to share with everyone watching today and who gets to watch the replay of what it really took to write this chapter, because this was not something that just happened one time and you just wrote it at one shot. It's been a journey for all of us. So this book is Dare to Dream Big. It is coming out June 18th. Pretty soon the pre-sale links are going to be popping up and shown everywhere. So we're very, very excited. Just to quickly start and kick this part off, my chapter in this book is called Dreams Are Evolving Blueprints. I was really thinking about this, and it's hard to say, from the get-go, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have everything planned out. It ends up just continuously changing as you go. It's almost like you have to evolve with the ideas and the concepts, because life puts you through things that you don't get to decide, often. So I would say one of the things that came to me when writing this chapter was really reflecting back on my journey of when I started, from even before She Rises Studios. I worked with a lot of startup companies, and then getting to bring that experience and insight from just having an entrepreneurial background in my family. I had a lot of entrepreneurs, and then just trying to find my own path in between that. It made me really reflect on all the things I got to carry with me, how I innovated those ideas, and how I was able to bring the best version of myself and just continuously try to bring, a new version, because it's exciting to get to start over again and to refresh and rebrand and all of those things. It doesn't mean change your logo every year or something like that. That's not what I mean by that. It's about what's inside of you, what you stand for, how you speak to individuals, your communication, all of it. So it's just been a true journey, and I'm just really grateful. These ladies here today, and the other two who did not get to join us here today, I really want to thank you all individually. I'm still working on reading through the chapters myself, and I love to wait till I have the book in hand. But I've been super, going, especially Edwina's, Gemma's, Darlene, Elizabeth. I have gone to read, I think, about 50% of everyone so far, and it's amazing. Your chapters are amazing. Everyone's going to be blown away when they get to read this. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Edwina, and let's see what you have to share with us. And if you can remind us your chapter title.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. So my chapter again is Become a Noisemaker. And again, that's turning adversity into positive noise, which is an acronym for a narrative of inspiration, strength, and encouragement. And in the book, you'll find out I've been through some crazy stuff. So with my background, I also, my ex was a con man, and I almost died in 2020. Like, other things have happened to me. And I had this message in my heart right before I knew about this book even being a thing. I had actually gotten sick again, and I was in the hospital December 2023. I was fortunate to get out days before Christmas, and then days after Christmas I got an email inviting me to this book. And I was sitting at my dining room table. My heart was only functioning at 18%. I was wearing a defibrillating life vest, and I looked at my husband, and it's just minutes after seeing that email about this book, told my husband, I said, I'm going to write a book. And I just thought, I don't know what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say it, but I do dare to dream big. And even though I am sick and barely functioning, I'm still daring to dream big. And I really want to encourage others to keep going as well. So that's what I did. And I truly, truly believe you can too, no matter what.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's just been a journey. I mean, you have so much to share. I cannot wait for people to read your chapter. You're so strong. And I know the ladies in here, if you want to speak on Edwina at all, I know some of you know her a little bit more than others, but man, she's powerful. And we're always praying for you and thinking of you. I'm
Thank
gonna,
you so much.
of course, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Elizabeth.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love I love when people share their vulnerability. And that kind of really is what resonated when you were like, well, what popped up when you were writing this chapter? And my chapter title is Discovering Your Voice. And that is exactly what happened. Is for a long time I felt very muted, not only in being a female, but when I was younger, I was in the foster care system, and that was like my problem. It was that like I was just shuffled around for a very long time, and I just was I was a paycheck, right? I was a paycheck for other people's families, and I was shuffled around for a long time, and I held a lot of resentment around that, and I felt like I didn't have a voice. And then that I explain a little bit about that in my chapter. And then as I got a little bit older, in like my mid 20s, I finally, like, there was that thing I was suppressing it for such a long time, and finally I was at a work function, and all of a sudden, like, it reared its head and it just came up and out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have this voice. Like, I had this voice, and everything in me was like, I'm not going to say anything this day. And it was just rearing its head, and it popped right out. And that was like the start of reclaiming my life back. And that's kind of what my chapter is about, is like reclaiming your voice and like standing in your feminine energy. And that's what I stand behind. It's like we're all here, and it doesn't matter like what we've been through. We have so much to give. Like, and I'm really spiritual about that too. It's like we have so much. Like, I'm definitely on borrowed time from some of my life choices, and I talk about that in my chapter too. And we're here to make a difference, and we're not alone on this journey. I think somebody else shared that too. Like, we're not alone, and as long as we stand together and lift each other up, we have a chance to give.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, I mean, as everyone's going to be watching, listening back to this, you can see this book means a lot. There's so many things that we share, the vulnerabilities, the transformations, even down to like steps that we can take, and really trying to show what we've been through and how you can, look forward to this. It's a hard journey. Working for yourself is not it's not easy. It's not what people think it is when they first think of the idea of I want to be an entrepreneur. It's a commitment and you're going to overcommit. So we wanted to really break this down for you. We wanted to be vulnerable and share those steps. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Gemma.
Hi, thank you all for sharing. My gosh, Edwina and Elizabeth, I'm sorry I haven't read the chapters yet, but holy moly, I can't wait now. Edwina, I actually have witnessed you this last few months going through what you're going through, and it's so incredibly inspiring to watch you as you just still, you just show up so dignified and so present no matter what. And I think that's so beautiful. And I'm honored to be in this company. And Elizabeth, your story as well, beautiful. So the name of my chapter, it's called Imposter, from Imposter to I'm Power. I use that term I'm power more than I use that word empower, because empower implies that somebody else is transferring power to you. And I don't believe that's where our power comes from. I think our power comes from within. So, and the changes that we can make in our lives are going to be, the biggest changes are going to come from us. And so I use I'm power a lot, because imposter syndrome is something that I faced, oh my gosh, my entire entrepreneurial career. Because first of all, I was a jazz singer and a preschool teacher, right? Entrepreneur, am I going to go out there and start some business or start some venture? That was definitely not in the cards. I mean, if anything, it was like me building the business of Gemma, right? And being like, yes, I'm going to go get that Grammy and that Tony Award and all those things. And when September 11th happened and I wasn't in the building when I was supposed to be, it just shifted everything. And it shifted me in a way where I was like, we have one life, right? And not all of us have that many chances. And when you're living in gratitude for being here, as opposed to I got to hustle just to survive, it really changes how you show up in the world. And so my chapter is really about like all of the times that I did face imposter syndrome. And some of my imposter statements were true and some of them were not. So the imposter statements that we tell ourselves, that our brain constantly tells ourselves, some of the most common ones we hear are, I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. People are going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm not talented enough. And all of these statements, some of them can be true in certain scenarios, but they're not productive. And so there are ways for us to look at those statements and reframe them in a way that they don't have to be true in this current state. They can be reframed in a way where it can be productive. So for example, there was a statement I told myself all the time that was actually true. And it could have held me back and stopped me from doing anything. It could have been the barrier to my success. So that statement was, I don't know what I'm doing. And the thing is, when I built the choir, I didn't know what I was doing. No one had ever done that before. It was unprecedented, right? I started some social ventures in Asia and Africa, building water tanks and toilets and teaching women how to do it. And I didn't know how to build anything, And the thing is, that statement was true, but it wasn't complete. The statement the way I reframed it was, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but you know what? I'm going to learn, because I've learned harder things. I've done harder things at the times of my life where I was not walking and I learned to walk. Okay, huge thing, right? When I didn't know how to read and I learned how to read, big, huge thing. I have done harder things. And the thing is, when you see that power is within you and you can actually take that power, use it in a way where you are going to grow and learn and be present, so that anything that comes to you, you see it as an opportunity for another way to develop, right? And so one of the chapters that I talk about was that one of the stories that I tell is that I was starting these international development organizations. And next thing you know, one day I don't know how to build these things. And next thing you know, I'm winning awards from the World Economic Forum, right? It's only because I believed that I could do it and I did it. It wasn't impossible because there were other things in my life that weren't impossible. They felt impossible, but they were actually not impossible. And that's where we can actually find some of our strength. And I invite people to see that within themselves, that it's there. There were moments in time where you've had real moments where you had to be braver than you ever wanted to be. There were moments in time where you'd had to be, more resourceful than you ever wanted to be. You already have it in you. It's just like figuring out, tapping back into that and finding that way back to your powerful self, and then stepping into the person that you want to be.
Beautiful. And just to kind of comment on that, I think a lot of times we don't even realize, for those of us who we don't realize that we're having imposter syndrome at that time. Like, it's not something until someone asks us, or when we ask ourselves, like, well, why am I afraid? Or why is that? We just kind of go throughout our day. And later, once we do the work, once we're like sitting down and trying to sit with that feeling, it's like, oh, shoot, I'm afraid, or I'm this, or I'm that. And it just takes a long time sometimes. So I think your chapter is going to be a great way for individuals to reflect on that and kind of open that up, because it's not until you do that you can overcome that. So that's why these kinds of books are amazing. This book is going to be a game changer. I'm going to go ahead and pass over to you, Darlene. What would you like to share with us?
My chapter is Beyond the Roller Coaster, Unveiling God's Plan Amidst Life's Challenges and Joys. And what I share in this chapter is I started at the very beginning on the streets, without even a high school education. And I was able to build my life back. And I've lost it a few times and ended up back down at the bottom. But that, life's a roller coaster. Things happen. That's not just me. That's a lot of people. But what do you do when you hit the bottom? You can't just stay there. And there's only one way to go, and that's up. And it takes a little effort to do that. So I also share in the chapter that the big turning point for me was realizing I was passing this imposter syndrome on to my kids, because that actually happens. You start out as a kid with all these big dreams and believing everything is possible, and life beats you down and you start to believe it. And I think that we owe our kids more than that. We owe ourselves more than that. So when you get to the bottom, or when you think you're at the bottom, when you're feeling lost, pick yourself up. Don't just stay in that position. It's going to take work no matter what you do. But it's better to be putting in that work for a dream. So what I want people to know is they can do it. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, what color you are, what kind of attitude you grew up with. Change and transformation is possible. You can turn it around. And that's what I hope that this book does for people.
Thank you, Darlene. I mean, everyone was amazing. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories. I cannot wait. It's right around the corner. It's going to make a huge difference. So please, everyone, keep a lookout for those links. They're going to be coming out fast and furious. It's going to be first available on Amazon. We're going to have our Amazon bestseller campaign for 2 weeks before you can get your hands on that paperback, which will be available everywhere, including Barnes & Noble, eventually Books A Million, Walmart, hopefully even Target. Usually we make it to there as well. So it's going to be so much fun, super exciting. And yeah, if you ladies, when you have a chance, go back to this live and drop down your social media links so people can find you and connect with you even before the book comes out. Thank you so much. And just a quick shout out to Joanna and Clara, who couldn't be here today. Hopefully we'll get to do another live and include them all. But thank you all so much. Please do not forget to dare to dream big. Bye, everyone.
Bye.